Hello everyone and welcome back to the 8th episode of CrossRoads. Today with us we have Vijay. Vijay has been a participant of GSoC this year as well as he participated in the GSoC last year, and he also finished his internship at Microsoft as a data scientist intern, and he has also received a PPA, and there are many much accolades and work that are attached to his profile. So let us know more about him from his side. Hi Vijay, first of all welcome to the show.
Hi Guru, thanks for having me. Okay,
Yeah, you
so
can give a brief intro about yourself.
yeah, so hello everyone. I'm Vijay. I am in my final year at IIT Hyderabad. I'm majoring in computer science. So about my past working experiences. So this year currently I am working in GSoC with the TensorFlow organization. Last year I did a GSoC with Haskell organization. And also, I finished my internship about a month ago with Microsoft as a data scientist intern. So these were my working experiences. Something about my hobbies. So I like watching animes a lot. So maybe Guru, if you have some anime preferences, we can chat about it later.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay. One thing I want, how are people so much interested and attracted towards anime? What is it that I also watch series and all, but not animes. What makes people see animes a lot? Anime.
Okay, so before asking that question, I think you should yourself watch some very good animes like Death Note and Attack on Titans. So after
Mhm.
that, I don't think so. I will need to answer that question.
Okay. I'll have to see. I'm watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've watched some series in the past, but I haven't watched any before. Many of my friends watch it and they're like huge fans of it. I just wanted to know what makes them too much inclined towards animes and all.
Yeah, I was also like that in first year, but my roommates kind of forced me to watch Death Note, and I binged it in just 2 days. So it
Okay.
was a kind of great experience. So after that, I myself started watching a lot of animes.
Okay, it's nice to. So let's talk about work. So first thing I wanted to ask is how did you manage your time with the Microsoft internship and the TensorFlow GSoC work together, both of them?
Okay, so first of all, I was not thinking of applying to GSoC, but fortunately, because of the COVID-19 lockdown, I had a lot of time in
Mm-hmm.
February and March, and I was bored to death. So I was thinking of doing something, and applying for GSoCs looked nice to me. And at that time, my Microsoft internship was not clashing with GSoC a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think I could manage both, but because of this lockdown and everything, there was kind of a 1 month overlap.
Mm-hmm.
So in this 1 month overlap, what I did was before getting selected to GSoC, I had a lot of work already done. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of stored it as a future work.
Okay.
So uh,
Okay.
in this 1 month, I was basically submitting older PRs
Okay.
and getting it reviewed. So I kind of managed this 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And in Microsoft, as Saturday, Sundays are basically off.
Yeah.
Most of the work was done on Saturdays and Sundays only. In weekdays, I kind of did a work about 1 hour or so. That's it.
Okay. So when did you start contributing to TensorFlow? Yeah, as like you said, you started thinking about in the month of February, March itself. So when did you
Yeah.
actually start contributing to TensorFlow?
So my first PR was around end of February, I think so.
Okay.
So after that, basically in March, I had a lot of PRs around. March and April, I had around 50 PRs.
50. Okay, that's a huge
Yeah,
number.
that was basically because it is TensorFlow and you have a lot of competition.
Hmm.
So kind of if you want to get selected, you have to do some hard work.
Okay. So yeah, you knew about TensorFlow and all how it's working on before itself. Is it before you started contributing?
Yeah, so in my third year, I was involved with ML and DL.
Hmm.
So I knew about TensorFlow. So, and TensorFlow is basically an organization associated with Google. So it is kind of working at Google. So I wanted to have an opportunity to work at Google also. So I applied for it.
Okay, you did both Google and Microsoft in same year. Yeah, that's totally nice because many people what they do is after they get an internship, they completely stop studying or stop doing programming and just wait for the internship to get over and get a VPO. It's
Yeah,
nice that
even
you did.
I would have done that, but due to
Yeah.
lockdown, I was very bored. So
Okay, okay. That's what most of the people just leave everything until they finish their internship. Yeah,
uh,
that's nice.
yeah.
So like talking about your internship at Microsoft, how is the role of a data scientist intern different from the that of a software developer intern?
So in data scientist intern, basically we have some ML and DL related work. So I will just tell what my project was about.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Edge browser, there is a support for PDFs also. So in this PDF viewer, I was integrating an OCR tool. OCR is optical character recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So in the PDF, if there are some images with text in it, so what we basically do is just trigger the OCR pipeline so that the text is converted into selectable and searchable text. So
Okay.
get basically extracting the text out of images.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that was my project about.
Okay. So how was the experience of working with Microsoft for 2 months? What all you
So
did? How were the people there and all?
Microsoft work experience was really great. The people are very nice. There
Mm-hmm.
is no means even the managers and mentors do not assert their position. They even ask you to call them by their names, so you can kind of guess how friendly they are.
Yeah, it was same for me also. Like initially, first 1 week, I never had experience of calling people by their names and all
Yeah,
in our
it is kind
college
of
time.
very awkward to address someone at least 20
Yeah,
to
yeah,
30 years above by their name.
yeah. Once we get used to it, it's not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? How was your like? How much time did it take to complete your project and all? You had buffer time or something like that?
Yeah, so initially my project was around 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So in these 8 weeks, I basically prepared an proof of concept, and it was very successful. So my manager actually wanted the OCR tool to be merged in the code base. So he allotted me an extra 2 weeks time so that I could raise PRs and return means following all the code practices and um, uh, all the test cases, passing testings, etc. So during these 2 weeks, I basically raised a lot of PRs and it got merged in one of the feature branches.
Okay, okay, that's nice. I think we might be seeing it in production in some days.
Yeah, maybe about 6 months or so.
Okay, okay, that's nice to hear. So, like, what is the selection procedure for a data scientist intern? Is it same like SD or different? The questions they ask and all.
So this is a kind of funny thing. So I am from IIT Hyderabad, and
Mhm.
Microsoft just hires software engineer interns from IIT Hyderabad.
Okay.
So basically, I had about 5 rounds. First one was online test,
Mm-hmm.
where we had about 3 questions or so. I was able to do all the 3 questions. They were quite simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After that, we had a group flyer round. In a group flyer round, basically, we are given 2 questions on board and we have to write the solution on paper.
Mm-hmm.
The questions were better than the online round,
Yeah.
and I was able to solve both of them. And in the and I got selected for the third round. In the third round, basically, I saw my score of the group flyer round. I had about 8.2 out of 10. So I don't know how they judge. Maybe the code quality, the optimizations, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the better the code, better marks you get.
Okay.
And the third round was basically interview round. One of the full-time employees at Microsoft interviewed me. They asked some questions about my resume, and I had written Python and C++ in my resume as the languages used. So I had some questions on MapReduce in Python. Uh, so the round was good, and in the fourth round, basically hired a person who is of a managerial level basically interviewed me. So in the fourth level, I was asked about some DFS and BFS questions and something about compilers. So basically, all these four rounds were very common for everyone. So I was basically applying for software engineer role only. So in the fifth round, I had my HR round. In this HR round, basically, I kind of, we could say, I kind of tricked HR into showing that I have a lot of interest in ML and DL, and I am I have done some projects in my last year. So she was kind of, we could say, impressed, and she said that she would try to give me a data scientist role. So basically, it was a matter of luck, I could say, that I got hired as a data scientist.
Okay.
So
that's the whole story.
Yeah, that's the whole story, and means basically, if you kind of present yourself to the HR as someone worthy of being a data scientist, maybe you can get selected.
Okay. So apart from this, how much of coding do you practice and all, competitive programming and all?
So I did most of the competitive programming in my first year. Basically, everyone has a thing to go to ICPC in first year. So during that time only I practiced competitive coding. In second and third year, I did not do much. About 5 days before, I started practicing again on Geeks and LeetCode. Yeah, so that's it.
So your preparation for the interview was just 5 days.
Yeah, these 5 days.
Okay, that's nice to hear. So apart from that, how is the atmosphere in IIT? And also, like you said, you people do coding and all in first year itself. What is the kind of competition? What are the kind of other activities and all that you do? Fun, whatever. So how's the life at IITs basically?
Okay, so IIT Hyderabad is in one of the newer IITs. It was established around 10 years ago. So in the first year, we basically lived in a temporary campus. Then we got shifted to a permanent campus where we got single rooms per person. So the rooms were quite good. And the atmosphere means, by judging that, I'm thinking that you are talking about the clubs. So yeah, so we had an competitive programming club in Faro basically. So in first year, they quite influenced us to do competitive programming. So mostly many of the computer science students were doing basically a lot of CP on HackerRank, etc. We had some competitions also. So the atmosphere is quite competitive, and for the fun part, we basically play a lot of CSGO. We have LAN. So on the LAN, we play a lot of CSGO with friends. It kind of leads to basically 5-6 hour gaming session.
Okay.
So we both have the fun and competitiveness in IITs, you could say.
Okay. So yeah, that's nice. Then talking about your GSoC for your end of the second year, that is at Haskell. Can you explain about that? What Haskell organization is about?
Yeah.
How did you get selected there? Your full process and all.
Yeah. So basically, Haskell is a programming language. It is quite different from the usual programming languages like C and C++, Python, etc. So it is a functional programming language based. So in a functional programming language, you don't have variables at all.
Okay.
So so you can't change anything. So basically, a state of an Haskell program is never changed. We only have functions. So like we can't increment an variable. We have to write a function to return an incremented variable. So the programming paradigm is quite different from the languages we usually use. So it was quite an different experience with Haskell. So at the end of second year, I applied for this organization because we had a subject like principles of programming languages, in which we had to do a project in Haskell.
Okay. So you thought one arrow to sparrow.
Yeah. So I kind of looked at the GSoC projects of that organization.
Okay.
One of them was related to something related to compilers. So
Okay.
what I basically did was I saw an online tutorial on how to make an compiler in Haskell, and basically made a compiler for a language, for a different language which I had developed.
Okay.
It was a quite a simple language. Yeah. So because of that project, I basically applied in Haskell, and maybe the mentor was kind of saw that I had some experiences with Haskell, and I got selected in it.
So you were not contributing to Haskell
Yeah,
before.
I did not contribute to Haskell before, but I had a lot of interaction with the mentor. So interaction might be one of the key components for getting selected in it.
By interaction, you mean the one? What is the kind of interaction that happens with these people? I heard a lot of people telling, be active in open source community and all. How do you get to find mentors and interact with them?
Yeah, so Haskell there was a project. So we had a list of mentors in that. So I basically contacted the mentor and I kind of did some research on that library, which was the project based on. And I asked them a few questions about what is this and how can this be improved, etc. And suggested some possible bugs which could be fixed.
Okay.
So it was quite a different library, not related to the main Haskell ecosystem. So it was kind of easy to look at the code base and find the bugs. Yeah. So that was the procedure I followed, and so yeah, basically interacting with the mentor so that he knows that you can do the project, you can handle the project.
Okay. And how many people were selected from Haskell organization for the organization?
Sorry, I could not get you.
How many people were selected for that organization, Haskell?
Okay. So around 10-15 people, I guess.
Okay. That's nice. So apart from that, like, were you actually interested in computer science since your 11th and 12th itself, or it? Like, how did you get interested in computer science as a subject?
Okay, so in 11th, 12th, I will not say that I was interested in computer science. Basically, everyone was doing computer science, so I kind of got into it. But after getting into computer science, if I think of doing engineering in some other branch, I think I could not do it.
Okay.
So computer science does not have a lot of thing to mug up, basically, right? So
Yeah.
and some other branches, I will not take any branch name in particular, but it is kind of, there are some things to mug up, so it is kind of difficult for me. So basically you can say that computer science is interesting. After I joined it, I got interested in.
Okay. So what would you be in case you weren't a computer science engineer, or in case you were not an engineer at all? Any other preferences you had before and all?
I don't have any preferences actually. I don't know, maybe any field I would choose, I will basically struggle in it, I think so.
Okay. Any tips and all for people who are starting with anything like machine learning, open source, competitive programming and all?
Okay, so open source, you could say, basically it is open source is not about learning something. Basically, what you could do is take some project and basically dig into it. There is nothing like you could help someone by getting started in a open source. If you do something, you will develop that set. So if you are willing to do something, you will be better at it. And machine learning, you could say that initially, if you have some courses in machine learning in your college, very good. Otherwise, you could take some online courses on Coursera. And basically, I started by doing some 3-4 online courses on Coursera, and I did a bit of ML projects in my college. So that's where I started in ML.
Okay. Anything that we should not do? Like you realize after doing that, okay, this is a waste of time. We should not have done this or something of that sorts.
Um,
Nothing.
no, actually, I think I kind of invested a lot of time in theory in the
Okay.
starting, and I was kind of overwhelmed by the mathematics in ML. So maybe what someone could do is basically get some working experience in ML, then see what's the math behind the ML. Then you can kind of get the intuition in it. So basically, diving into mathematics at the first will only uh, make you run from ML.
Yeah, that's true. People get bogged down by looking at big mathematical definitions and all what YAML initially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a Kaggle is a good place to start with. Kaggle
Mm-hmm.
competitions. So you could basically pick some library and start using it. And then after you have a basic understanding of what the ML terms are, you can see the mathematics behind it and
Okay.
understand it.
Yeah, that's correct exactly. Yeah, that's it. I think we have spoken in length and more about your all of that you had to say. Thank you, Vijay. Thanks for coming on to the show. If any viewer wants something and all, I'll put the links about your social profiles and all the comment section. Yeah, that's you have anything to say? Anything final parting words?
Well, nothing. I think we have covered a lot. Yeah. So that's it, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, sure.
Have a
Thank you.
nice day. Bye.